This afternoon at 1 p.m., CBC Radio 1 will air an hour-long special called Canada's Storyteller, a tribute to Stuart McLean. And it's hosted by Michael Enright, of course, your host on Sunday Edition, my guest this morning, and so good of you to come in this morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Your program and his shared the Sunday broadcast day.
That's right.
But you shared much more than that, a long-time friendship. Tell me about that.
I met Stuart in the mid-'70s when the program Sunday Morning went on the air. And he was a documentary maker at the time. And I think a lot of, all the talk about him being a great Canadian storyteller, it's true. But I think in that is overlooked the fact that he was a great reporter. He was a fabulous noticer of things. You could have coffee with Stuart in a cafeteria or someplace, and suddenly he would shift his focus, and he'd be looking at something in the restaurant. And I would say to him, "You're working, aren't you?" He said, "Yes, yeah, I'm working." He was working all the time.
Just keen observation.
Absolutely. I remember he did a documentary on Sunday Morning. There was some kind of political turmoil in Italy. Of course, when isn't there? And he went over and did a doc. But he started the documentary looking at people in the airplane. As the airplane came into land, he described their faces, he described what they were talking about, and so on. And it just added something, it added context to the report that followed. He worked all the time.
It was interesting. Some of the ways that he did work are pioneering techniques. He was among the first to give us essays on the radio, and this kind of, we call it talk and tape in our lingo, where he talks to a host like you and then plays his report and back and forth, and then the journalist as well. He was the full package, really.
One of the things, startling things about Stuart is his craftsmanship. He was meticulous in the way he did his essays or wrote his scripts and so on, very, very carefully. Sometimes you'd think, oh, he's ad-libbing everything. No, he wrote it down.
That way.
And he had this touch of being able to talk to you and not at you. He lifted the script off the page and just spoke it. And that's a kind of a rare thing in our business, as you know.
As much as it was scripted, there were some moments in his career that are just the result of spontaneity that you could have never imagined.
Yeah.
And you won't believe this. It was February 17th, that's tomorrow, 1986. We're going to play a little bit of tape. This famous moment that many people think of from Morningside.
I think I know.
You think you know. When he was there, he was. If you don't know the background to this, he was with Peter Zosky, of course, another great. And he was doing a series on buying bargains for $1, and he'd come in with what was supposed to be a sleeping cricket. Okay, here's part of what happened after that.
They're alive and kicking. There you go.
What?
Bought a cricket.
Aw.
Now, I've only had him since Saturday.
He's not well, Stuart.
He is well.
He's
got
not.
the sponge with the water. He's got the Nabisco shredded wheat, which you can see he's eaten about a half of, just the one little square.
He's not well, Stuart.
Why do you say this? He's fine.
We've seen this cricket. This is an insipid cricket.
People believe me. Trust me. The cricket is fine. He doesn't eat a lot. He doesn't drink
This
enough.
cricket has had a biscuit.
Listen, the crickets don't do much of anything.
What ensued was about 10 minutes of just, gut-splitting laughter.
They couldn't finish.
Do you remember that?
Oh, absolutely. Live radio is wonderful because you're working without a net. And the two of them just fed off each other, and they started to laugh, and they could not finish. And I remember Peter pointed to the control room to do this, go to music, because they had to do something to fill up the time, and it was a magic moment. It was
Everyone
fabulous.
is sharing that, of course, as one of their highlights, memories of his time on Morningside.
Yeah.
One of the things that he shares with you, you have one of the great broadcast voices. His is different in style, but he too with a great voice. And people often talk about the Jimmy Stewart resemblance, the distinctive cadence. What do you hear in his voice that just kept us riveted to the radio?
He really didn't need a microphone. He could talk to the last row in the house in the same way that the people in the first row heard him. He had a way of pitching his voice to fit the environment, to fit the ambience. And it was a voice that you could not listen to. Some people say it was high-pitched or kind of throwing it out. But he had a different voice, and you had to listen to the guy. That was part of the show, and that was part of the essays. And when he read sometimes he did a lot of serious essays. Sometimes they were sad. Mostly we laughed at them. But when he got serious in those essays, the voice changed a bit and became very compelling. And as you know, radio is all about intimacy, and he just spoke directly to the listener with that voice.
You will be speaking to his listeners this afternoon as the host of the tribute.
It's a 1 hour special.
1 hour special. Tell me about what is planned.
It's 1 hour. It's 1 p.m.
1 p.m.
Eastern.
1:30 Newfoundland. Yes.
Essentially, all it is a selection of his best stories over the years. You hear the voice, you hear the laughter. There's some are more serious than others, but it's pure Stuart. This is pure McLean.
We'll be listening. Thank you for giving me some time today.
Thank you.
Michael Enright,
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to have you here. Now, as you listen to that this afternoon, you'll be thinking of your favorite Stuart McLean memories, and you're invited, as always, to email them to us today. Special destination, McLean Memories at CBC.ca, and we will share them throughout our program this morning.